we're gonna have to bookmark, right, where we are right now in this review and this statement you just made, because time has a way of revealing itself. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another TV review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with all the content we produce each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. Oh, poor Jesse, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil. I'm Vengeance Corwin.
Oh, that's right. Of course, we are here to review none other than episode 7, the season finale of The Last of Us season 2 on HBO. Let's go straight into it. What was your initial thoughts of this finale?
Ooh. It's turning some things up, isn't it? It does. The weird thing is, it did feel like a finale. At the same time, it didn't. So we can get into that. I think, but yeah, I think it was a really, really good episode. Very emotional at some points. And yeah, overall thoughts. What about you?
It's good, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's good. It was good, but not great. But that is no spoilers. My view on the season: good, but not great. I think that as I've said previously before, I was someone who, unfortunately, I wasn't a fan of the story of the second game. I thought that at times it was very boring. I felt that it was a bit of a sludge, and I feel in ways similarly with this season. I don't think that it's been as a sludge because obviously with the game there's so many like long periods of time where there's actual gameplay, and so that mixed in with a story that I personally don't find as compelling can make the experience feel much more draining. That luckily has been cut out a bit here, but even so, I think for me it still has confirmed that though I am still engaged in the story and I am intrigued in the story, it's just not as good as I would have hoped it could have been, and that's kind of still my main takeaway. Um, I still at times I feel like I almost wasn't buying it in certain moments. I wasn't buying in certain elements that Ellie really was still feeling this element of vengeance in her. I just didn't
Really?
get that at times. At times, I felt like it felt. I think because Bella Ramsey, and it's actually one of the things she's so good at. She's good at turning it on and off, dialing it up and down. That there was just moments where, like, when, for example, she's having that scene where her and Jesse are stood on the rooftop or whatever, and they're looking out because they realize Tommy's probably the sniper in the far
Mm.
distance. Just that scene itself, like it just felt like to me like it kind of came out of nowhere that she's so willing and ready to hunt down Abby, because then you have that scene earlier on with her and Dina where it almost felt like she was showing remorse in certain ways, to the fact that what she did to Nora. And yeah, I think
I
it's just how
no.
I feel about
Okay.
this story, to be honest with you.
With the which one do I do first? With the Nora scene, I think, or the conversation she has with Dina, I don't think she shows remorse for what she did to Nora. I think her problem is that it was that easy. It was so easy, as she says it, I think, as well, to hurt her. And just that she, maybe even the point that she doesn't feel remorse. And that is the thing that makes her feel a bit sad about it, or like makes her worried, if that makes sense. So I think, oh, it
Go
doesn't.
on, go on, go on, go on.
So I think she does have a vengeance boner, let's put it that way, that is still there even after Nora, right? So it made sense for me that in that rooftop scene that you mentioned, that she does say, I don't know if it's Tommy. We don't know if it's actually him. Let's go this way and do actually what we came here to do, or what I came here to do. Um, while we know where she is. Yeah, it made sense because, again, they don't know if it's actually Tommy. Maybe we are a little bit clearer as an audience, as the audience, because dramatically it makes more sense, and we know Tommy must appear at some point. But for her in that moment, it's like choice is kind of easier, to go after the thing that is secure, rather than going after the thing where she's like, this could be any sniper, it could be anybody. And even if it is Tommy, she even says that, I think, he can hold on for a little bit longer because he's awesome. So let's do him that. Let's let him do that, and go after Abby instead. Finish that.
Do you know what it is though? The writing and the dialogue isn't the thing that I don't buy. Ironically, it is her that I don't buy in the moment. And there are many moments I feel like, well, I just don't buy it. You know, I don't want to do the comparison game because I feel like like Bella Ramsey, they are a terrific actress and does so well, like in so many scenes, so many moments in this season. But there are times where I just go that I'm just not buying this, and I don't know if that's a actor's choice, if that's a direction thing. But I obviously, I was looking at a couple cutscenes from the game, and I can't remember the voice actress that also does uh the like motion capture for it. I can't remember her name. I cannot believe I can't remember her name, but she's terrific. She is
We'll put it
terrific,
on
and I
hold.
feel like she really embodies what this vengeful side of Ellie is, and I think it really comes across far more in the performance in the game than I'm getting in the show. And
Okay.
but I'm noticing that kind of all around, even certain decisions they've made with Tommy, for example. Dina, this was one of the first times where Dina to me came off as she almost came off as a bit of a dick to me in this episode.
Okay.
And
Speak on
that
that.
was yeah,
What
and that
was
was
that?
I think it felt like obviously when Jesse arrives, like obviously Jesse's pissed because he's had to come and do all of this and save Ellie, but Dina almost looks really pissed or annoyed unjustifiably so at Jesse for the fact that he's there. Obviously, like for example, when he's getting the arrow out,
Yeah.
she just there's this kind of energy. Obviously, she knows that she's pregnant, that she hasn't told Jesse, but it just felt like there was this kind of like energy towards him that felt really unfair. And I actually felt kind of sorry for him. But yeah, I think in general, there's moments of this episode that I do really enjoy, and I am still along for the ride. I mean, we'll talk about the ending of the episode specifically where it leads on to what we're about to experience in season 3, which I think is oh goodness gracious, I don't even know if I'm prepared for that because I think it's going to be such a sludge to get through.
This is the happy part.
I wish that goes on to the one thing I do want to say now. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the industry. I don't know what the scheduling is like, whatever. But I really wish they had shot these back to back and that they had actually premiered these as one long season. Obviously, gone are the days of seasons of television where we have like 20 episodes or whatever. But goodness gracious, I think this could have done with it. I think the idea of waiting potentially 2 years maybe before getting Abby's story, and I'll get onto this in a second, but obviously, there was a article, I believe, from Variety earlier on in the week regarding, or a couple of days ago, regarding the viewership. And I mean, it's still good, but it is also concerning. And we'll get onto that in a second because I do wonder how that will fare for season 3. But I'm sorry, I've been babbling on for a long time there.
We're all enjoying it. I did want to quickly talk like the what struck me in this one as well. I think like especially after the last episode, it's just this cycle of abuse slash vengeance and revenge. Ellie brings up, I know why you did what you did with Abby, but she also kind of thinks that she has a right to kill Abby and her people, I guess, because of what they did to Joel. And like, so it continues and continues and continues over and over until there's no one left. But the last episode kind of gave us this idea or this theme of there has to be someone that needs to be better than the person come before, right? Somebody who says, no, this is enough. I'm gonna take a breath and stop. and only then can people heal and this cycle can stop. And I kind of
Can I
like,
just quickly say?
yeah,
Can I just quickly say? We're gonna have to bookmark, right, where we are right now in this review and this statement you just made, because time has a way of revealing itself. And I think that the statement you just made, without spoiling, is going to be very pivotal, I think, moving forward, or the sentiment is going to be very pivotal in maybe, I don't know, the next 5, 10 years by the time maybe season 4 comes out. But we'll get to that. But continue.
great. Watch this again in 2 or 3 years. Um, yeah, I like how it links, and I think that's part of the good, the amazing writing, that is just setting up this context with the previous episode of where we are now, and we can see this in a different way, and it's much more emotionally engaging, at least for me. Once we know that, his that Joel's speech, this I hope you're going to be better than me, might actually be about this vengeance thing, that Ellie is someone who's very reckless, and she is very like emotional driven, and that she might be able to say, I'm not gonna kill anyone else. I'm just gonna leave it, and I don't know, mourn Joel, but leave it at that, and just get on with my life, have my family or whatever with Dina, and yeah, so I like that link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. And you know what? Like, as the more we talk about it, sometimes the more I think about it. Even I was looking at some comparison videos again to the game, or
Mm.
rewatching some of the game's cutscenes and watching some of the game's cutscenes from beyond where we are now, just to refresh myself of Abby's story moving forward into season 3. Like, there are fascinating parts and emotional parts and really intriguing story elements that are coming up and that was there in this episode. And I still do look forward to seeing those unfold, because I think that regardless of how I felt about the story of The Last of Us Part 2, by the end, it did still hit. There were still major themes and things that really did hit and deliver. And I do appreciate that. But I mean, a concern, though, has to be. I hope I don't botch this report, but I believe that what I read from Variety, I might botch the actual percentage, but that they were saying that the finale for The Last of Us Season 2 was, I think, 50% lower than the finale for season 1,
Yeah.
but also I believe it was 50% lower of the premiere for season 2. And obviously, that we are seeing that the viewership has been dropping. I did see that. I think they were averaging overall
Yeah.
around like 3 million viewers per episode, which is still good, but the viewership is dropping. And I mean, I think it depends on who you ask, but I guess that you'd imagine that viewership would be dropping, one, because Joel is not there anymore, and two, maybe because people just aren't as invested in this story. And I think in the game they make a brave and bold move, similar to as we saw here at the end of this episode, to tell the Abby story and then flip and then spend a significant, sorry, tell the Ellie story and then flip
Yeah.
and spend a significant amount of time telling the Abby story. In the game, that's one thing. I think in television, I think where they're at now, where they are losing viewership, that could be, I don't want to say make or break. I still think it's going to maintain viewership, but I think that that's a tough sell. I think it is a tough sell to now focus on, let's assume, 7 episodes where the main focus will be Abby and the WLF and the scars. I think that's going to be tough. And so my fear as a fan is like, don't get me wrong, it's still going to get made anyway. But my fear is like, what if people just aren't really going to be as interested if we are going to see that dip? But I guess, and I think the bigger question is that, you know, the fact that we're seeing the dip in TV and the fact that we saw such a polarizing response from the part 2 of the game, what does that mean? Did people have the same response? Were they pissed off? Were they not as interested because Joel's not included? Because it seems like both of those things have happened in both the game and the show. And so I mean, I'm intrigued to find out what that means, what that is, and the implications of that moving forward. Because it is unfortunate, especially because Craig Mazin was saying recently that, from what he said, that if they're fortunate enough that this will go to a season 4, because with the amount of story they need to tell remaining in the second game, it's going to need a 4th season. And I mean, I hope we get there. I hope we get there. We should, but I hope we get there. I do hope so. Yeah, but we'll see.
Before we go to Ices, I just have one more point. The ending, well, like, not quite the ending, but the scene between Ellie and Owen and the other woman, whose
Mel?
name is it Mel? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that scene. It
was a great scene.
It was a really good scene. Like, I particularly love the idea that this where we get into vengeance again, but that Mel was turned out to be pregnant. Because not only did that link it to Dina, because suddenly, Ellie's like, fuck, I shot someone who's like Dina. What if it was her? But it also kind of shows this, I'm thinking that's the point, that vengeance, all this like violent stuff, it doesn't hit Abby. She's nowhere near this place, right? It hits Owen, who's trying to like help, who let Ellie live, and it hits Mel, and they're both wolves or whatever, so they're kind of responsible. But it also hits the child or the baby.
Yeah.
So the baby dies, and I think they're trying to make it. This is how I'm reading it. That vengeance and this pursuit of vengeance and violence, it has collateral damage. And it often hits the people who are nowhere near this conflict, instead of the people that are actually involved in this conflict. So I'm curious how they go on from that to kind of explore, the negative sides of vengeance, which I'm guessing that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think once again, bookmark that, because I also believe that will circle its way back as we go later on down the line in the next 10 or 20 years when season 4 finally gets released. Well, shot first and then released. But shall we go to our IC review scores for this episode before we just give our quick little recap review of the whole season as a whole? So our IC review scores, how many ICs out of 10 will you give for the season finale of The Last of Us Season 2?
I would give a good 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this episode, and I think it had some really good moments. 9 out of 5. 9.5 out of 10.
9.5 out of 10. Awesome. I'm going to go with 7 ICs out of 10. Similar to as I said at the beginning, I think this was good, not great. But that might be also just personally me. I'm just not as gelling as much with the story. But I am still engaged. I am still intrigued. It's just not the way, I'm not fully there. So I'll give this 7 ICs out of 10. So obviously, let's go to our quick little mini review, and obviously IC review scores of the entire season. As I said before, I think this is good, but not great. And I think partly of that, I will admit, I'm struggling to shake the fact of, how I feel about the story of The Last of Us Part 2 in general, but also as well because the story of the game and the story in the show are pretty identical. The only difference is you're cutting out the gameplay. And so they're pretty much the same. It's not like any changes were made. And I guess one of my biggest critiques, of this season is that I wish some changes were made. I wish that there was more adaptation. I wish that they maybe took some different routes, that they made some different decisions. And I also wish that we had a bit more of our Bill and Frank kind of episodes like we got in season 1, where, there was just a bit more, just something different, getting to look at the perspective of characters or just other people that were just more intriguing. But some great performances, great moments, some things that are still going to hit and stand the test of time, specifically episode 2 for me. And yeah, good but not great, but I'm still engaged. I'm still here.
Okay.
So we'll have your little mini review first before we well, in fact, I'll give my IC score out of 10 right now. For this I might as well. I gave my mini review of the season, so I might as well. I'm also giving it 7 ICs out of 10 for the entire season 2 as a whole. Once again, good but not great. That's where I am. That's where I am.
Very harsh.
So how about you? What's your mini review of season 2?
I would give the whole season an 8 out of 10. Ices. Because I think like I really enjoyed where they took this story. I think the writing was amazing, the acting was incredible, um, lovely moments, especially from Bella Ramsey, and yeah, while he was still there, Pedro Pascal. But I'm more intrigued in the Abby story. I'm more intrigued in where she's going, and you know that side of the vengeance. And I thought like from the beginning that she was a really interesting character, or that her group were really interesting characters, and that they weren't like mustache twirling villains or something like that, and just out to kill for the killing. But they're because they've been hurt first, and it's like actually Joel might be the bad guy here in their story. Um, but there was also, which the negative for me, like the inclusion of the other wolves, the you know Isaac as well, the Seraphites, all that. And I get that they need to like establish that, and I get that it kind of ties up, gets more into Abby's story, but it felt a little bit like but brief glimpse and then like glimpses here and there, but it didn't quite tie in for me with the whole season, or with the actual story that they were telling in this season, which was Ellie's story. Which put a bit of a damper on this, I think. But yeah, I'm really intrigued where they're going from here. I really enjoyed this season. Ellie's story as well, like her trajectory from this innocent girl to yeah, a Batman basically. So yeah, I'm on board. 8 out of 10 for the whole season.
Well, that will do it for our review of the season finale, episode 7 of The Last of Us, and of course, the entire season as a whole, that being season 2 on HBO. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, share, drop down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on this entire season, on the finale as a whole, and what your thoughts and predictions are as we move forward. Once again, my name is Cameron. Oh, poor Jesse, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil. I'm Vengeance. Corwin.
Oh, that's right. She is the Batman of this universe. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Thank you guys for checking out our review today, guys, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.
I'm going to suck on a lozenge now because that.
Suck on something.